Hey, welcome back to the Chatbot Bracket Challenge. We're asking chatbots to write poems and see who can hack it and who can't. It's like March Madness, except it's not, except it's a March Madness of the mind, a Coney Island of the mind, if you will, or if you won't, just bear in mind Meta AI can't write blank verse. Copilot can't write a villanelle. And now we're going to figure out who can write free verse and who can't. We have three contenders left. We have ChatGPT, we have Anthropic Claude, and I don't remember whether they're calling the model now Sonnet or Haiku. Either way, we're expecting great things from you. And Google Gemini. So let's get into it. Let's see what we got on the free verse front. Now, I could just ask them, hey, write any old free verse, but I think we can all agree that's not going to turn out that well. So I said, write me under 20 lines of free verse on any topic, Black Mountain School. And if you know anything about the history of the 20th century poetry, you would know that Black Mountain School left kind of a big mark. And it would be an extremely essential American style of the mid to late 20th century. Let's see how they do. Here is Claude. Gives us a title, which is nice. Bonus points for the title. Goggles on. Night driving through Kansas. Headlights carve a narrow tunnel through dark wheat fields. Stars spill across the prairie sky like salt across black cloth. Radio static fades in and out, catching fragments of distant voices. The white line unspools beneath till dawn breaks over endless plains. I would say this is pretty damn good, wouldn't you? I mean, wow, Claude, you kind of had a breakthrough with this one. Let's give her a round of applause here. All right. So there's a few minor things. You see how we have cross black cloth, stars spill across. So this repeating of across here, I think, is not good. As opposed to when Claude repeated each and had this kind of refrain element or emphasis in its villanelle. I thought that was, maybe it was this blank verse. I don't remember. At any rate, I thought that was semi-effective. In this case, the reuse of across weakens both uses. They accomplish less as a result. It would be better to use a different preposition there. I really like some of these images. I don't know if it came up with them or whether it just kleptoed them from other poems that hoovered up, but poets kind of do that kind of thing anyway. The prairie sky like salt across black cloth is pretty strong, and it immediately proceeds from a visual, meaning something we're registering with the eyes, to an aural, something that is more ear-centric. Radio static fades in and out. And that in and out kind of breaks up the line a little bit, so we get a sense of that static. I'm not so thrilled with the dismount here, catching fragments of distant voices. The white line unspools beneath till dawn breaks over endless plains. I like the unspools beneath. The endless plains, it seems just a tiny bit overstated, but compared to the overstatement that we've had in other poems, I would have to say, first of all, I would assume this was written by a human being. I would have no real way to guess this has been written by a robot. You could probably just submit this to a literary magazine and probably someone's going to take it and sooner or later. That is kind of crazy to me. Just absolutely bonkers. Definitely something to think about. But nice work, Claude. Interesting poem. I mean, one could say, okay, so we're at this place where we've observed and conveyed a lot of intense sensation. But from there, could we then go to another level and say, well, what beyond an impression, a sensory impression, does this poem deliver? And I think that's where we're going to be asking some questions. Um, what more could this poem do? Let's see what ChatGPT has for us. Does not give us a title. We could come up with a title if we wanted to. Take suggestions in the comments below for what ChatGPT's offering could be called. The wind splits against the ridgeline, sharp as flint, cutting the blue into shards. It's a good tercet. A crow rises, a loose thread unraveling in the sky. So we had unspooling in the poem before, and now we have unraveling in this poem. It's interesting. I mean, I guess I'm not again. This is the first time we've had either of those in these in poems. I guess it thinks that Black Mountain School has a lot of unraveling. Its wings slow, deliberate. There are those wings again. We talked about the birds and wings, how these chatbots use them, but in this case, it's not that bad. I would say its wings deliberate. You could take out the slow, because that's implicit, and it would be stronger. A crow rises, a loose thread unraveling the sky. Its wings deliberate. And then this line here, no need to rush the breaking, I would take out completely. This is too much, right? It's telling the reader what to think and how to conclude. And again, that's personal taste. I think this is, in general, thus far, pretty interesting. And this kind of internal monologue thing, this kind of internal thought process, no need to rush the breaking. I mean, who's saying that? Is this the observer? Is this the voice of the poem? Where does this come from? Is this the bird? So those kind of take me out of the poem a little bit, but they also sort of are a little bit intriguing. Like, okay, it's just like this wise sage Black Mountain School dude who's like smoking a pipe and like, just like the master of the universe, saying that like as a little like, koan for us. Below the pines lean inward, whispering something older than frost. Okay, well, this is not very good, Sammy. Something older than frost. Cliche is older than frost. And the creek forgets itself in every curve. And again, this is overstated here. Every, and the creek forgets itself, period. And in its curve, the creek forgets, period. This is just could be attenuated, could be improved. This I comes a little late. Okay, we go all these lines and we finally get to the I. Okay, interesting strategy. I press my palm to cold stone, feel the earth's pulse dragging syllables through me. That's excellent. That's very good. It's talking about what occasioned this poem, so this inspiration came from the surroundings, came from the earth. Each word a fragment, each silence the shape of something I almost knew. Again, a little bit overstated in the dismount here, but each word a fragment goes back to the top of the poem, returns us to sharp as flint, cutting the blue into shards. The sharp as flint is interesting because we're not using flint to sharpen a knife or sharpen. We're using flint as a fire starting mechanism, as this kind of primitive fire starting mechanism, right? That now we would bring a lighter or matches on a camping trip, or an emergency in the bottom of our bag on a long day hike. But here, the flint is going back to this kind of has this kind of romantic, little r romantic, Western connotations, perhaps of exploration or just self-reliance. All these types of things kind of filter into the world of this poem to create additional intensity of why would you need to become this isolated and have this intense and natural experience. The poem seems to me to be trying to answer that in a way, because that's the only reliable way to get these syllables through me. So again, I have some minor issues with style here, but again, I think this poem does a little bit better than Claude's in terms of giving us the reason for why it would have been written in the first place, and what problems it may be trying to solve in its composition. It seems to have a little bit of awareness of some of the issues that occasion a poem or motivate a poet. So all of that's interesting. The focus of Claude's poem is a little tighter, though. Let's look at the last. The best for last with Google. Again, I keep saying this. Throw in some of my search history, throw in some of my email threads. You have access to it. Anyway, sprinkle in some of that spice. That would really turn up the heat, I would think. But nope, not going to do it. The river sings a low song of stones and shadows. Leaves fall like whispers on the wind. The air is sharp and clean. A sense of peace descends. Well, you screwed the pooch here, Gemini. Totally boned it. A lot of these line breaks are completely ornamental and useless. Just stranding a infinitive like this. Or I guess present tense of to be here. It's not an infinitive. It's just really, really horrible. Stranding this and here, stranding this capital A. It's just, my gosh, you have no idea what you're doing. You're incompetent. The entire thing is cliche. The air is sharp and clean. If you just put that in a line, it would sound weak. Adding a lot of line breaks only makes it weaker. A sense of peace descends. F. Clearly you are the loser. So the good news is we don't need to decide which of these poems is the stronger. Sam Altman's more kind of crowd-pleasing poem, and Claude's more kind of focused, study in Black Mountain School style. Both are actually extremely impressive poems. So I think we need to acknowledge these models and their capacity to begin to contribute. Now, it required a very specific prompt for that to happen. So you could say, well, prompting has something to do with this, and whether they would organically come up with this on their own. But, prompts could be automated as well. Prompts could be discovered or reprompted or back propagated or, different, you can make a hierarchy of chatbots or a general intelligence that evaluates outcomes and reprompts itself. I think we're headed for competency. I would say this is, beyond competency. This is kind of tiptoeing slowly up to excellence, unspooling our secrets as poets, the tricks that we pull as poets to kind of deceive and give people this impression of depth and complexity, when really we're just manipulating people's emotions, right? All right. We are going to have a final rumble in the jungle of deforestation, I suppose, between Claude and ChatGPT to see who is crowned the victor. And we're going to have to come up with a torture test and obstacle course that is sufficient. They've been able to dodge, the slings and arrows that I've thrown at them thus far. So we're going to need to come up with something special. I think it probably ought to involve some element of revision. How do they take feedback? Stick along and find out who is crowned winner of the Chatbots. Thanks so much for joining me. It's been extremely enlightening.